Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to see everybody here. And dear Professor Michal Yerushalmy, Vice President and Dean of Research, Professor Roza, Leikin, Head of the Edmond Safra Brain Research Center for the Study of Learning Disabilities, representatives of the Foundation of Edmond Safra, and distinguished lecturers, staff, and students of the university, and all our guests of abroad and from Israel. We want to welcome you all back. I would like to welcome you to the conference, Cognitive and Neurocognitive Aspects of Learning, Abilities and Disabilities. We are very pleased to have had the opportunity to gather together so many distinguished researchers from all over the world together to have this meaningful and interesting conference in memory of Professor Zvia Breznitz. Professor Zvia Breznitz was a very special person. She dreamed and made her dreams come true. Her absence is felt, but we are very proud to continue her legacy and research in order to help children with learning disabilities. We are able to do this due to the generous support of the Edmond Safra Foundation and the leading of Professor Roza Leikin together with all the members of the center. I would like to invite Professor Michal Yerushalmy to say a few words.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, colleagues, friends of the Learning Disabilities Department and the Faculty of Education, I'm honored to welcome everyone to the opening session of this international conference. And, well, I'm here as a member of the Faculty of Education, as a friend of most of you, and as a Dean of Research. So as a Dean of Research at the university, under my responsibility are about 70 research institutes and centers at the university. They are all varied in size and scope and structure. The Safra Center has always been a unique model for academic operation and a notable success case. I want to say a few words about that. It is a model for interdisciplinary research across departments and faculties for bringing together a relatively large group of excellent researchers and many graduate students, and establishing state-of-the-art personal labs and the hub of advanced equipment. So, by all means, that's the model that we opt to for research center at the University of Haifa. It's unique, still unique. And it's also a classic example of an exceptional, great working network that established almost a decade ago. Zvia, a leader, the Safra Foundation, a very generous and intelligent supporter, and the university that highly appreciate the opportunity and the mission. All that made it a unique success case. And of course, Zvia. The leadership, her leadership, was a blend of courage, charisma, personal care that attracted scientists and students from Israel and abroad to come over, stay and develop new science here. And Zvia had a broad view of education and a very unique vision. First, she saw learning and learning disabilities as should be studied hand in hand. The title of the conference represented very nicely. I mean, when she started to talk about it, I remember that probably 20 years ago, it sounds very strange. I don't know, you are the expert community, you know how it's different today. The other thing is that ability and disability are both multifaceted, meaning being nimble and literate in mathematics is important as language. So it has to be connected and combined. And Zvia also always acted as learning disabilities research require innovative state-of-the-art methods and tools, and it should always be rooted and implemented in the field. I think that we all remember Zvia was always part of committees at the Ministry of Education attempting to introduce a large-scale learning disability and at the same time at the edge of the top of most innovative lab research. And for Zvia, the field was way more than schools or Ministry of Education or a live laboratory. The field for Zvia was, in my view, the nation and its people. And she did a lot in this direction. All that significantly left a mark on the research at the university worldwide, and the program for the next 3 days and your present here proves that. The vision became reality by the work of an amazing devoted group of scientists of the center. I want to thank them, and as a university that I represent, I would say that we are committed to continue recruitment of the very best scientists in the field that would like to join us. I will just end with a special thank with an appreciation to Roza Leikin, who with a lot of sincerity and dedication at such hard times was able to lead this devoted group to another year of fruitful research and to this conference. And I wish us all a fruitful conference with good science spirit and better weather.
Thank you, Michal. I want to apologize on behalf of Professor Orland-Barak, the Dean of the Faculty of Education, who couldn't be here today due to personal reasons, but she sent her greetings and she asked me to read them in her name. So, yeah. Good morning to all of our distinguished guests. On behalf of the Faculty of Education at the University of Haifa, I am happy to greet you all and to open this exciting and fascinating international conference hosted by the Edmond Safra Brain Research Center for the Study of Learning Disabilities. The title of this conference, Cognitive and Neurocognitive Aspects of Learning Abilities and Disabilities, suggests that for the next 3 days we'll be dynamically moving between these limitations and affordances of cognition as embedded in learning processes and neurological measures. Such dynamics have been beautifully orchestrated by the Safra Research Center as detected from the reach and the varied program of this overreaching conference. The overall structure of the conference, dedicated to the 5 domains of study, attention, bilingualism, mathematics, motor skills and reading, not only reveals the vast range of human learning that is represented in this conference, but also indicates on the development of a unified scientific paradigm and language that aims to bridge different disciplines and conceptual focuses. As such, I see this conference as yet another founding stone in the establishment of the coherent and wide-ranging field of study. And as I always emphasize, the Faculty of Education is proud to encompass the Department of Learning Disabilities, which has a leading part of this worthy effort. The conference, as you all know, is dedicated to the memory of our late colleague, teacher and friend, Professor Zvia Breznitz, who passed away in May 2014. Here at the Faculty of Education, we are still stunned by the sudden passing, hoping that events such as of today could offer our community some comfort and support as we try to make sense and to come to terms with the unfortunate parting from Professor Breznitz, who was one of the most significant scholars and educational leaders in our faculty. I hope and pray that the festivity of this conference would be somehow transmitted through time and space and meet Zvia's soul to send her our honoring gratitude and love. I thank Professor Roza Leikin, Professor Safra, Dr. Shelley Shaul, Dr. Liat Goldfrapp, Dr. Orland-Barak, and of course Claudia, Harel, and Karin Malka for organizing and making this conference come true. That was Lily's words. I would now like to start the session in memory of Professor Zvia Breznitz, which will start with some classical music, which he loved so much. The first piece that we will hear will be Bach, the two-part invention, number 4 in D minor. I would like to invite Daniel Abazardel, I hope I pronounced his name properly. Yeah, here we are. Daniel came to Israel a year and a half ago. He made Aliyah from Brazil, and he's currently a student at the University of Haifa studying music. So. Thank you very much, Daniel. I would now like to invite Professor Said Khatib to say a few words about Zvia.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues and friends. This speech was written by my colleague, Dr. Eric Bar and me, but I think that I'm going to speak in the name of all my colleagues and friends in the Department of Learning Disabilities and the Edmond Safra Brain Research Center for the Study of Learning Disabilities. This conference is dedicated to the blessed memory of Professor Zvia Breznitz, who passed away on May 18, 2014. I'll speak a little about Zvia. Professor Breznitz was a neurocognitive scientist, specializing in the research of reading. Her creative and innovative way of thinking and her pursuit of state-of-the-art research methods allowed her to carry out groundbreaking scientific work for which she became internationally recognized. Her work, which was published in more than 80 peer-reviewed articles published in specialized journals, some of which appeared also in a dozen of book chapters and in several books she edited herself, had a tremendous impact on the understanding of normal and impaired reading processes, but also on other aspects of learning disabilities. In particular, She contributed to the acknowledgement of fluency in reading as a central component, defining reading ability, to the understanding of the neurocognitive processes contributing to it, and to the development of methods enhancing fluent reading. Zvia was a pioneer in her understanding of the role of performance time in reading, the so-called speed of processing. Long time before reading rate was commonly used as a measure of reading ability. As early as 1983, as part of her dissertation work, which was presented at the Department of Psychology at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, under the title, The Effect of Reading Rate on Decoding and Comprehension Among First-Grade Pupils, she discovered that time constraints imposed on the presentation of texts led to enhanced reading performance compared to self-paced reading condition. This finding was in sharp contrast to the common practices at that time, which encouraged slow processing of the brain, and particularly in reading disabled children. The same finding, which was then repeated in different words, had consequently been termed the acceleration phenomenon. This discovery turned out to be central to her work. She dedicated much of her studies to the unveiling of the underlying factors of this phenomenon and developed an innovative computerized reading training program consisting of the imposing of time constraints on reading. The Reading Acceleration Program, the RAP, has been extensively studied in children and adults and in speakers of different languages and readers of different orthographies, both in her laboratory and in laboratories outside Israel. The program had shown positive and sustainable effects on reading performance across languages and orthographies, indicating that she had discovered a remediation technique addressing universal aspects of reading disability. To mention only one thing, some aspects of her work on this issue have been recently published in the reading scientific journal Nature. Professor Breznitz compassion to the less fortunate has been a guiding light for her. A unique characteristic of the training method she developed is that it can be easily implemented in school settings and doesn't require the mediation of a tutor, reducing financial load on families of learning disabled children and providing equal opportunities for populations from various backgrounds was highly important to her in the process of developing the program. These considerations also guided her efforts to develop and implement assessment batteries in Hebrew and Arabic, which can be administered in class settings in school. Zvia was a natural leader and a visionary, to mention only a few things. She was in 1979 the founder and director of the Clinical Laboratory of Learning Disability at the University of Haifa. She was then the founder and director of the Laboratory for Neurocognitive Research, established in 1992. In 1998, she contributed largely to the creation and was the head of the division, presently the Department of Learning Disability at the Faculty of Education. In the year 2008, she established the Edmond Safra Brain Research Center for the Study of Learning Disability at the University of Haifa, which she headed until her last days. With the goal of promoting knowledge on the different types of learning disabilities, the center uses brain-based research, behavioral methods, and clinical interventions to explore theories and practices in the field. Acknowledging the unique variety of the population in Israel, the study of learning disability in the Arabic-speaking population and in populations of bilinguals became, through her great support, an integral part of the activities of the center. Thanks to her tireless commitment and to the generous support of the Edmond Safra Philanthropic Foundation, She recruited a number of faculty members to promote research in different fields connected to learning disabilities, including reading and writing and their development in the Arabic and Hebrew languages, bilingualism, attention, numerical cognition, etc. Those recruited by Professor Breznitz, and there are many in this room, constitute the essential of the driving force of the current staff of the Department of Learning Disability. Zvia was a teacher and a mentor of several dozens of students, and many of them carried out research under her supervision. Her great energy and enthusiasm to research on learning and learning disabilities attracted many students to her laboratory, which was constantly in full capacity. She expressed scientific openness, being willing to attend to new ideas, explore new fields of research and methods, and combine the students' personal interests with her expertise. This has led to an interesting work environment of great diversity in subjects of research and work practices. Professor Breznitz cared about the academic work of her many students as much as she cared about their personal well-being, thereby giving the work environment a familiar atmosphere. She accompanied her students in good times and in bad. She didn't settle with being a good listener to problems of others, but actively tried to help whoever turned to her, and was particularly happy when hearing that one of her students extended his family, or her family, or traveled to interesting places around the world. Zvia was a mentor and a supervisor of many researchers currently working at the Department of Learning Disabilities or traveling around the world for postdoctoral studies. She was the one person, this is a personal note, she was the one person who called me in 2008, at that time working at the Laboratory of Experimental Neuropsychology at the Geneva University Hospital, to convince me to join the faculty staff. She was determined and proud to promote research on reading in the Arabic language, and for this reason she had almost easily convinced me. At arrival, she provided all the necessary to let me feel at home from the first day, and charged me with various academic responsibilities to let me think that I have always been here. On a very regular basis, she was coming with new ideas and new research projects she considered worth investigating. In this regard, I admit that thanks to Professor Bretti's spirit, I am currently involved in this very interesting field of research. For this and many other things, we, friends and colleagues in the Department of Learning Disabilities and at the Edmond G. Safra Brain Research Center for the Study of Learning Disabilities are very grateful to Zvia and hope to continue in her work. Thank you, Zvia.
Thank you, Said. Now I'd like to invite Professor Roza Leikin to say some words here. invite Daniel to play the second piece. Will be playing the two-part convention, number 13 in A minor.
Good morning, everyone. Dear Mr. Trondheim, dear Professor Yerushalmy, dear distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all at a conference dedicated to memory of Professor Zvia Breznitz. I will take this opportunity to tell you something about past, present, and future of our center. But before I begin, I would like to tell that I am taking slides from Zvia's presentation that she prepared several years ago to report on the growth of the center. So I'm taking the metaphor, and I think that it's appropriate and it's fitting the goal of the conference, and I dedicate this presentation to her memory. Zvia's vision and the Edmond Safra Foundation joined forces to create the Edmond Safra Brain Research Center for Study of Learning Disabilities. They strove to create learning disabilities center that includes academic programs, carries out cutting-edge research, produces theoretical models of learning disabilities, advanced evidence-based practices, improves the identification and remediation of learning disabilities, and provides teachers training and support for parents. All this within multicultural and multilingual context of Israeli society. The work of the center started with Zvia's research that led to discovery of acceleration phenomena and development of reading acceleration program. Her brain research demonstrated that brain activation in skilled and dyslexic readers is different before and after training, and that brain activation after training in dyslexic readers can be very close to skilled readers before training. Our center grew over time, and now when it started from 7 scientists in the center, now we're at 19 scientists. The number of labs grows from 2 to 12. Physical space from 0 to 800 meters. And we are proud to say that now researchers in the center are publishing about 100 papers in peer-reviewed journals per year. We have 12 scientific laboratories that perform research in very broad fields of cognition and neurocognition, and also connect research to practice. Within this center, there was a development of Edmond J. Safra Haifa model that trains teachers to identify and assess students with learning disabilities. Through workshops all over the country, we help teachers understand their learning disabled students and show them how they can help their students overcome their difficulties. The Ministry of Education has adopted our program, and the number of participants has increased during the past 2 years. We are happy to tell you that about 270 teachers participated this year in the workshops. These teachers came from 155 schools, and 26 coordinators from 15 local resource centers also took part in those workshops. This means that we have access to about 3,000 students and can provide them with our help and support. Our mobile unit is coming to different parts of the country, helping students who cannot get access without this help. During the past year, we finished the development of iPad and Android versions of Reading Acceleration Program to make it even more accessible to students around the world. We constructed storage for our research to make accessible to all the researchers of the center all the data collected by different researchers. And we're building a pool of cognitive tests to provide a research infrastructure. Today, we're here in memory of Professor Zvia Breznitz, and we're planning some innovations. First of all, we build our plans on the standards and principles which promote advancement of the connection between theory and practice, promote interdisciplinary research and educational activity, support multicultural research, and strengthen collaborative research at national and international levels. We designed our new model of the center that reflects the variety of the fields of expertise of the researchers in the center, from learning to the development, ability and disability, cognition and affective studies, genetics and social-emotional studies. We use neurocognitive and behavioral measures to analyze linguistic skills and mathematical skills in the implementation and basic research in Arabic and Hebrew languages. We asked the foundation to rename center from the Center of Edmond J. Safra Brain Research Center for Study of Learning Disability to the Edmond J. Safra Brain Research Center for Study Learning Abilities and Disabilities, because we think that we address the whole range of the abilities. We are planning to focus on complex mathematical abilities in addition to all the research that was performed beforehand. We planned a unique and pioneering study aimed at interdisciplinary investigation into the foundation of individual academic achievements within heterogeneous groups. Now things. Professor Yerushalmy for her wonderful warm awards, Dr. Shelley Shaul for such a wonderful organization of the conference, program committee, all the lecturers at the conference who accepted our invitation to present their groundbreaking studies at this very special event, all the coordinators of the symposium, Mrs. Karin Malka for her organizational help, and Mrs. Claudia Rey, without whom we wouldn't be standing here. A special thanks to the Edmond J. Safra Foundation, whose continuous support and encouragement has enabled the Edmond J. Safra Grand Research Center for Study of Learning Disabilities at the University of Haifa to grow and become one of the leading research centers in the world. We are thankful to the University of Haifa for its belief in our strength and the collaborative atmosphere. We are committed to continue the development and advancement of Center on the foundations of extraordinary vision and success led by late Professor Zvia Breznitz. Many of you have traveled far, and I hope your stay here will be pleasant. The innovative and engaging talks at this conference are fitting tribute to Zvia's memory.